Alright, so today we're going to be taking another missing Tekken character and giving them a redesign, praying to God that they actually make the roster in some sort of future DLC pack of some sort. So, by popular demand, Julia Chang is getting ready for the King of Iron Fist Tournament 8. Okay, so it's been a minute since I've done a Tekken redesign on this channel. The last time wasn't really a redesign as much as it was me playing around with Sagat as a member of the Tekken universe. So looking at Julia, I'm gonna have to look at the landscape of Tekken 8 and see how she fits to give her a decent redesign. But I have to give myself a bit of a criteria for this. First, I want to give myself a little leeway by giving her a base design and an alternate, which I don't believe I've done for one of these designs before. The other is that I want her base design to feel true to her character and lore, and where she would likely be at this stage of the game in Tekken. This will let me go balls to the wall and sort of play around with my alternate costume a bit. So let's get started with her base design, which has its fair share of obstacles that I did not see coming.
Stream is live. You ready?
So, first things first. A problem Bandai Namco has had with Julia's Tekken designs, which I didn't even know was a controversy until doing research on her, was whether or not her design was offensive or authentic to indigenous people. The results that I found was that the issue with Julia, and her mother Michelle for that matter, was that neither of them actually looked like natives. Granted, Julia is mixed, but a big criticism with how they look is they look like cosplaying of Native Americans more than anything else. This has led to complaints about their clothing, specifically their main accessories, which the number one that has been featured on most of their outfits over the years have been feathered headbands. Now, in doing a redesign for Julia, I can't necessarily change how she physically looks or her features there for a redesign, or rather I just feel like it's cheating if I just made her an entirely new person, but I can still work within these means. Harada sort of got away with getting away from the critiques and criticisms of their designs with Julia's Tekken 7 design, which has made her somewhat of an environmental influencer and streamer, which is a turn for her character that I did not see coming. I wanted her to have a look that still made her look like she has her whole environmental streamer persona that she's got going on, but at the same time I wanted her clothes to still look authentic to Native Americans. I don't know why I just said the same thing twice, but whatever, bear with me. Now I did this entirely except for her sneakers. I don't know why I ran with the design that I gave her, but I like it and I wanted the colors that I chose it there, so that was a bit of a stretch. But basically my focus was I didn't want her to be a walking stereotype without going as fully far left as her Tekken 7 design was, which basically just gave her floral print on her shirt. I can't really think of anything else that would let you know that Julia was a Native American. I actually found a pant design online that I liked a lot, so I played with the colors for the scheme that I was going for here. The design just had a lot of sort of flowery and like bird prints on it. I thought it would be really cool for a pant design considering how much detail is added to a lot of the character designs in Tekken 8 in general anyways. I also thought it'd be really cool if Julia had her hair out, which isn't really a thing for her or her mother's designs that I can think of. Even though it is seen in some artwork for Julia in Tekken and even her badge in Tekken 7's outfit, but I just figured she needed somewhat of a change here. So she's letting her hair down in this design. I also wanted to look like a part of her has kind of given up on fighting in the Tekken tournament and is focused on other projects for climate change, while still simultaneously look like she's ready to throw down at a moment's notice. Them hands always gotta be ready, which is why I maintain gloves in this design. Also, just for my amusement, I thought it would be interesting if she was wearing a JC t-shirt. Her mask design is the actual print design on the shirt I gave her, so figured that'd be pretty entertaining. And I can't think if there were any references in Tekken 7 to Julia being JC in the game, so who knows. In the end, for an environmental Twitch or YouTube streamer, this is what I got for her very first design. And then I went completely left for her alternate. By the way, like, subscribe, and hit the hype button if you haven't already. It'd be much appreciated. For her alternate design, I kept the complaints about past Julia and Michelle designs, and I discarded them as much as I could without being offensive. I really still wanted a design that looked like the looks of Julia and Michelle in the past that we've come to know them as, and sort of seeing within the boundaries how I could sort of push that one. I definitely wanted this to read closer to an indigenous Tekken character like her previous ones. For example, I did give her a headband back, but I tried to stay true to the complaints that I read online, and I tried to take away stuff like the feather headband look that she's been having, or at least her and Michelle, seemingly since the 90s and 2000s, or every other Native American fighting game character that I can think of off the top of my mind at the moment. Speaking of her head, since this is more of a fighter-centric design, because I wanted to go a little bit wilder, or not wilder, but have a lot of freedom here, I gave her a braided hairstyle, but one that still looked somewhat authentic to her people. It would have been too easy to just give her a simple braided ponytail or pigtail look, which I believe she's had in other Tekken games. Hell, I think she had it in 7. And I wanted something that looked like an actual Native American braid as well, so that's how I came up with the design that I got here, which to me seems kinda interesting for Julia. I also gave her the sort of half top, I can't even call it a half top, but whatever the top was that Michelle had in Tekken Tag Tournament 2. It's a lot of alliteration there. And I made that into a hoodie. Obviously, I also changed up the design of it here, but the actual fitting of the top is similar. I don't know, I wanted her to look more like a fighter in this one. It's been a while since we've seen it. I mean, give me a break. She was a streamer in Tekken 7 and she was a luchador in Tekken Tag Tournament. So in the end, this is what I got for her second design in Tekken 8. Being honest, when I do a lot of these designs, I'll just do a quick brush up of the character online and just see what information I can come up with them before I start figuring out how I'm going to do the artwork for them. Big ups to Harada for actually taking a step back and asking the question of whether or not Julia and Michelle looked authentic to indigenous people or not, which is something that doesn't get done often with fighting games, which as a genre itself by default has almost always worked in stereotypes, good, bad, or indifferent. Personally, I'm a fan of characters like Nightwolf and Chief Thunder in fighting games, while I also understand how those characters are kinda wild. I will say that for the most part, Tekken does try to be as authentic to certain nationalities as possible, down to each one speaking their own native language, of which everyone is able to understand with each other. I still don't get that, but it's the most hilarious thing about Tekken to me. And others. I'm sure people have caught on to that as well.
いやむしろここでわしが負けてジュリアちゃんが優勝すればそれもまたよしいやいやジュリアちゃんが優勝できるとは限らんしもうわしはどうすればいいでごわすか
Sir, could you stop babbling so we can get this over with?
But all of this helped me to take what could have been just a run-of-the-mill Julia design and make it into a pretty interesting challenge that I enjoyed a lot and didn't see coming. Let me know in the comments below which Julia design you like better, or what would you have liked to see more in her design. Also curious, what did you actually think about her Tekken 7 design? I would really like to know. In any event, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and you all have a good one, and I'm out.